Oh, how the time has flown by. We are now in the final week of the regular season here in 2020. And of course, we had a big slate of games where some teams would decide if they would win their conferences, while others would look to get ready for that playoff push. It's a new month, which means it's a wardrobe change as well. The month will get a lot cooler as we keep going on, but the games are just starting to heat up as the 7-4-0 zone starts right now. Hello there, everyone, and welcome back to the 7-4-0 Zone. I'm your host, Jacob Murray, and we had a big final week of the season play out. We had conference rivalries going at it, and we had upsets and we had blowouts as well for this week. But we started off at C.H. Jones Field, where the Wellston Golden Rockets had the TVC Ohio crown in their sights, but they had to get past a conference rival in the Vinton County Vikings, and there's definitely no love lost between both of these teams, as reporter Nick Henthorne was out of that game to see exactly how this one played out in this big TVC Ohio battle.
Yeah, Jacob, this matchup has a ton of history behind it, but for a long time, it was a history of Vikings victories. You gotta go all the way back to 2012 to find the last time Wellston beat VC, but this season, the Golden Rockets flipped the script in dominant fashion. Let's talk about it.
Now, of course, both of these teams kind of pride themselves on the defensive side of the ball, but how did both of these offenses perform?
Yeah, both these teams played the run well a good amount of the time, but these teams had too many talented runners to be balled up completely. Early on, Vinton County had success on sweeps to the outside, Elijah Williams showing off his speed there, but as the game wore on, it looked like the Vikings defense was worn out. Jonathan Garvin is a terror to tackle, and he was dragging defenders forward the entire second half. His 3 rushing touchdowns were big ingredients in the 33-12 victory for Wellston.
Yeah, big win for the Golden Rockets that now puts them at 4-0 in conference play. And, you know, it was their offense in this one that kind of helped them out, but the defensive side of the ball created a lot of turnovers as well.
They absolutely did. Fumble recoveries, interceptions, including this one Chase Ingles tracked down. This game did have a sloppy feel to it at times because of the turnovers and a litany of personal fouls, mostly against the Golden Rockets. But then again, there were also moments where Wellston executed their game plan to perfection. Check out this trick play. Ends up in the hands of R.J. Kemp, the former quarterback, reminds us he's got an arm. Plays like that kept the momentum firmly on the side of Wellston in this one.
And of course, this was a big win for the Wellston Golden Rockets as they won this one 33-12. They'll have their first playoff game next week when they take on South Point, but there's no time for the Vinton County Vikings to hang their heads in this one, as they also have a playoff game going into next week when they take on Union Local. And of course, both of these matches will be very important as they will try to move their way throughout the postseason.
Yeah, the 6-game regular season is over. Wellston finishes 4-0 in conference. They have not been able to play Athens. That game could not happen when scheduled due to coronavirus complications. But I think with this win, it's safe to say Wellston has clinched the TVC Ohio. And we talked to Coach Mike Smith after the game about his team's successful season and their hopeful playoff push.
You got to come. You know, you can't come to a playoff game not ready. And, I think that will give us a little bit of advantage going in. And we got South Point here next Saturday, assuming that everything goes well with them. They had a COVID incident, so I don't know how that's going to go, but that's who we're scheduled to play anyway. It feels great, the fact that the way this season has played out, and just at one point in time we didn't know if we was going to get a play, and then here we are going into the playoffs, and who knows what's going to happen from here on out.
We also talked with running back Jonathan Garvin after this one, and he seemed very adamant that after they made the postseason last year, they feel more prepared going into this year's postseason, and after clinching the TVC Ohio title, they will look to keep that momentum going into the playoffs. Thanks for the good work, Nick. Now we head over to another heated rivalry in the TVC Ohio between the Athens Bulldogs and the Nelsonville York Buckeyes. Both of these teams have been at the top of the conference the last several years, but this year might have been a little bit different. I took a look at how last year kind of plays in to how this season played out. Whenever the final game of the year between the Athens Bulldogs and Nelsonville York Buckeyes takes place, it's usually for that TVC Ohio crown, as seen last year when the Buckeyes took down the Bulldogs 35-28, and that was a game where they were able to win that one and get a share of the TVC Ohio crown, something that they were looking to do all year. But on the final play, of course, the Bulldogs threw an interception that would have tied up the game. Quarterback Joey Moore is back for another go-round against the Buckeyes, and this defense has begun to improve as the season has progressed. They now sit at 2-2 on the year after a rough start, as their offense is still trying to find a rhythm in this pandemic season. Joey Moore, though, will look to find his new receivers in different ways against the Buckeyes defense, and they will hope to get the victory to avenge last season's senior night loss. And as for the Buckeyes, they come into this one ready to go, having won 3 straight games, and all of that thanks to that defense that has helped them keep opponents at bay for much of the season. And now they are running the ball more effectively, and that'll really help them in the red zone and even to sustain drives, as quarterback Drew Carter will look to lead his squad. And though this won't be the same battle for a TVC Ohio crown this year, this will still be a very interesting game between 2 rivals in the TVC Ohio. Pride was on the line here in the final week of the regular season between the Athens Bulldogs and the Nelsonville York Buckeyes. And it was a battle here at Boston Field at first, but then it kind of got away in the second half. Before Alex Porter was at that game to recap all the action.
The final week of the regular season is here, and that means only one thing: rivalry week. The Athens Bulldogs traveled to Nelsonville to take on the Buckeyes in the battle for the Doc Kroner Trophy. First drive of the game for Athens resulted in a Joey Moore interception, which would give NY great field position ahead of their own first drive. Several plays later, Kobe Bennington strolls into the end zone for his first touchdown of the night. That would open a scoring barrage for the Buckeyes for the rest of the game. This next pass from Drew Carter to Ethan Douglas early in the second quarter would set up Nelsonville's second score of the game and the lead at halftime 14-0. Heading into the second half, Athens would be without star quarterback Joey Moore due to a left shoulder injury acquired halfway through the second quarter. It is unknown as to how serious the injury is. Starting off in the third quarter, the defense for the Buckeyes would pick up where they left off from the first half. Athens didn't have any scoring chances through the first 3 quarters after punting a handful of times, turnover on downs, and interceptions. NY head coach Rusty Richards details his confidence in his team and his defense heading into the playoffs.
Colton Snyder, Douglas, our seniors, they got it clicking right now, so very happy with the way the defense has been playing.
On the opposite side of the ball, junior Drew Carter was a leader for NY, especially in the second half. Carter had a plethora of rushes and passes, including this pass to Zach Taylor, allowing Taylor to do the rest. Nelsonville doubled their halftime score in the third quarter, and from that point forward, the result to this game would be set in stone. Coach Richards is confident in Drew Carter's abilities at quarterback after an impressive outing against the Bulldogs.
He's only really in about his 8th or 9th game he's ever taken snaps. Varsity, JV, everything. So, it's a learning curve, and he's a 4.0 student. That's why we put him there, and he's just getting better every snap.
Despite this game not having any playoff implications, the Buckeyes still feel satisfied after beating the Athens Bulldogs 36-6. Reporting for the 740 Zone, I'm Alex Porter.
The Buckeyes have now won 2 of the last 3 matchups against the Athens Bulldogs and look to continue that momentum as they head into the postseason. Thanks for the good work, Alex. Now, of course, the Nelsonville York Buckeyes play in Region 23, but the Fort Frye Cadets will be the team to beat. Reporter Jacob Mata looks at how another unbeaten season has prepared them for a postseason push.
The Fort Frye Cadets are playing like a championship caliber team so far this year, being a perfect 5-0 on the season, but the success has not just been this year. Winning is becoming a tradition for the Cadets as they have not lost a regular season game since September 1st of the 2017-2018 season. Yes, you heard that right. They haven't lost a regular season game in 3 years, racking up a 34 regular season game win streak. They have a high-powered offense where they can run the ball with Owen Brown, Mason Long, or quarterback Ian Ellis, or air it out deep to senior wide receivers Nick Hart or Jamison Baker. All of these players have contributed greatly to the success of the Cadets, but they aren't the only reason they're winning close games. The Cadet defense has been dominant as well, only allowing 5 touchdowns over 5 games this season for the Cadets. They have been making big stops all season, forcing teams to punt the ball away and go up against the Fort Frye offense, which has been close to unstoppable for many teams.
The Cadet win streak keeps on rolling, but Coach credits that to the great groups of kids that he's had in the past few years.
I'm blessed to have some great coaches with me, and we come from a good community where we have great kids, and they come to work every day, and I can't say enough about those guys. There's just a lot of really good kids that work hard, hard-nosed kids that understand what it takes to win. So it's a credit to all the kids we've had over the last 3 years.
The Cadets look to go 6-0 for a perfect season next week when they travel to Wheeling Central Catholic to play the Maroon Knights. They will then focus on getting ready for the playoffs, in which they hope to make a run for a state title. The Cadets made it to the semifinals in 2018 but came up short against Kirkland, but the team is itching to make it back to the semifinals and hopefully get a shot at the state title if they are able to win in the Final Four this season. Reporting for 740 Zone, I'm Jacob Mata.
Thanks for the good work, Jacob. Now, Fort Frye has played their fair share of TVC teams, and this next game we head over to the hockey, where we had a heated rivalry between Southern and Eastern play out on Friday night, and reporter Zach Paquette was at that game to catch up on all the action. And look, the Eagles made a little bit of history on that night, didn't they?
Yeah, Jacob, they knocked off arch rival Southern 42-0, securing the second spot in the TVC hockey standings, which is their highest finish since 2011.
Yeah, and how did the Eagles really perform in this game?
Well, Jacob, the better question is what didn't they do? The Eagles ran for touchdowns, threw for one, and even scored one on the defensive end. Connor Ridenauer had a huge night for the Eagles. He had the pick six to put the Eagles up 14-0, and then not even 4 minutes later, he caught a touchdown pass from Brady Yonker.
Whoa, hold on, Zach. Isn't Ridenauer the QB?
Correct, Jacob, but after talking with Coach Newland, Ridenauer was dealing with a minor injury, and they just wanted to see what Yonker could do under center.
Yeah, we know Eastern is a run-heavy team. Did they find success on the ground game tonight as well?
Oh, yeah. Coming into the game, Southern's defense had conceded the second most points among Hawking teams, and Eastern managed to put up 42 on them in the first half. Blake Newland and Steve Fitzgerald were both forces to be reckoned with. Newland found the end zone in the first quarter, and Fitzgerald had an impressive 97-yard run in the second quarter that would set up his score from 1 yard out. Jacob, talk about a Derrick Henry-like run there.
Yeah, definitely a run that we will be looking at later on in the week as well. And you know, with the playoffs starting next week, what should we expect from the Eastern team?
They got the 11 seed in Division 7, Region 27, along with Hawking foes Waterford and Trimble in the same region. They are scheduled to play host to 22nd seeded Sciotaville, and a win would set up a rematch with Caldwell, who knocked off the Eagles by 14 in Week 1.
Yeah, should be very interesting to see what they have in store, Zach. But before you go, I heard you saw a pretty good commemoration for the Eastern seniors.
Yeah, Jacob, this is a tradition that Eastern seniors do after their final home game of the regular season, where all of the seniors line up and walk the field with their coach. This was a special moment there on Friday night. Coach Newland with his son Blake in the 7 jersey, and overall, this senior class means a lot to Coach Newland and the Eastern community.
Coach these guys, tackle football since 3rd grade. It's been 10 years with them, and they've all stuck it out. They stuck together. They're all best friends. Had all these kids over to the house, all the time. They're just, like I said, it's just, it's tonight's a very emotional night. But that's like I was telling them, let's keep this thing rolling. Let's don't let it stop now.
And of course, a nice touch for the Eastern Eagles to finish off the season like that and capping off a very nice 2020 regular season. Thanks for the good work, Zach. Now we head over to Sugar Grove, where we saw the Bern Union Golden Rockets take on the Worthington Christian Warriors, and we had reporter Jacob Mata out of that game. And look, Jacob, this was a battle from the start to the finish.
Yes, it was, and it seemed as if the Warriors were going to run away with this one as they had a 14-0 lead before the end of the first quarter. Chris Prince would cut down the Warrior lead for Bern Union when he intercepted quarterback Hobie Rake's pass and took it all the way home for an 83-yard touchdown return, making the score 14-6 Warriors. Flash forward, Bern Union now leads 21-14, and Braden Anderson finds the end zone from 9 yards away to tie the game at 21. Prince wasn't about to let that touchdown go unanswered as he rushed from 7 yards out, making the score 28-21 Rockets. That touchdown would cap off a night for Prince with 3 total touchdowns and 178 rushing yards.
And of course, the game of football is all about who are those playmakers on both sides of the ball, but who are some of the difference makers for Bern Union?
Well, quarterback Nate Nemeth was very smart with the ball the entire game. Mainly in the fourth quarter when running out the clock, Chris Prince was a huge difference maker in this one as well, rushing for 178 yards on 20 carries, and he had 3 total touchdowns on the night, including a pick 6. Carson Kellenbarger also jumped on the fumble that seemed to seal the victory for the Rockets.
Yeah, what was so special about Chris Prince's performance that night?
I talked to head coach Tony Herbst after the big win, and he informed me that this was Prince's first year playing football, and he has come such a long way in learning how to effectively run the ball.
Very interesting story right there. But now, what's up next for the Golden Rockets?
They are seeded 9th in their region for the state playoffs and will face off against conference opponent the Zanesville Bishop Rosecrans, and they will be looking to get their first playoff win since the 1994 season and hopefully make a run to bring a state title back to Sugar Grove.
Of course, Worthington Christian, a very high-rated Division 6 team. We saw another Division 6 team as the Adena Warriors faced off against the Zane Trace Pioneers, and reporter Joe Collins was out of that game to see how this Division 6 team would fare in this one.
Well, it was pure domination from Adena right from the get-go as they set the tone very early and controlled the pace of the game from that point onward. First play of the game, Preston Sykes will knock the ball loose, then we'll say, I might as well score too, as he picks up the ball and takes it to the house. Sykes would convert the 2-point conversion. First offensive play of the game for the Warriors, Sykes drops back. Everybody take out your wallets because it's raining dimes. 54 yards to Tate Myers, 16-0 Warriors under 2 minutes in.
Yeah, and as you've been talking about, Preston Sykes seemed to have another outstanding game.
It was one of his most dominant performances of the season. Listen to these stats. 2 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing, and 1 defensive. And that was just in 3 quarters. Having a dual-threat quarterback makes an offense much more lethal, but adding the fact he can make plays and even score on defense, that's a recipe for disaster for any opposing team. It was running clock for all the second half, as Adena was dominant on both sides of the ball for the whole night. A 46-0 stomping by the Warriors.
Now, this conference championship was a long time coming for the Warriors, wasn't it?
Absolutely, and you could tell from their post-game celebration by the team as they were chanting SVC. This was their first conference title since 2010. In fact, they hadn't finished better than second since 2011, so this was truly a regular season to remember. Coach Paul Thomas and his family talked about how big this was for his team.
Going in the playoffs with a win is huge. For last 2 years we went in with losses, and it's kind of a down nose. So to go in on the positive, we feel pretty good about ourselves, and we like our draw.
After improving to 6-0 on the season, Adena will take a much-deserved bye week as they await to see who they will play 2 weeks from now. Thanks for the good work, Joe. Now we move from the 7th-ranked team in Division 6 to the 5th-ranked team in Division 5, as reporter Dylan Tyson saw Ridgewood in action in a battle between 2 top 10 ranked teams in Division 5 football.
2 Division 5 powerhouses, the Ridgewood Generals and Garraway Pirates, both went into Friday night undefeated, but only one could be crowned the Inner Valley Conference champions. 10th-ranked Garraway drew first blood with this interception from Alexander Roden, but the Pirates failed to capitalize, allowing quarterback Gabe Tingle and the 5th-ranked Generals to set up in great field position. Sure enough, Tingle himself would take it in for the first score, and he'll see a lot of action on the ground tonight. Very next possession for Ridgewood. Running back Deontay Brandon finds an opening, he takes full advantage. Just a few plays later, he'll barrel into the end zone. It's 14-0 and the Generals are just heating up. Second quarter, the Ridgewood defense really begins to shine. Garraway turns up scoreless on all 4 of their possessions, including this one which ends in a muffed punt. The Generals make the stop and ultimately set up another Tingle touchdown.
Despite Ridgewood's prolific offense, the Pirates just couldn't get it done. Of their 10 possessions, Garraway was forced to punt on 8, the other 2 resulting in a turnover on downs and an interception.
Quarterback Gabe Tingle would be among the stars of the show, passing for 135 yards and picking up 2 TDs on the ground. Between him and Deontay Brandon, the Generals rushed for 271 yards. Meanwhile, the Ridgewood defense allowed a measly 52 all-purpose yards on the night. Brandon would find 6 more points to close the first half on a 29-0 lead, and in the fourth quarter, it'd be Xavier Lamneck breaking around the edge, finding the end zone, and completing the shutout. 36-zip Generals. After the game, Tingle was quick to credit the team's offensive line regarding his dual-threat talents.
Because I feel like they gave me great protection. It's more me coming, making reads sooner, and not waiting on the ball. So just focus that we need is to run the ball more, because we feel like we have one of the best line. We're big up front. We got the Praters. We got Caden Bradford, Marcus Linedecker. We got guys to be able to run behind him. We want to be able to run behind them and win games that way.
Reporting for 7-4 Ozone, I'm Dylan Tyson.
Ridgewood will be a very tough team to play come playoff time, but with Ironton and Wheelersburg in their same region, this should be a one to keep your eye on. Thanks for the good work, Dylan. Now we head over to the number 1 ranked team in Division 4, the St. Clairsville Red Devils. And we had Michael Roth at that game to see if they could keep their quest going for an undefeated regular season.
Battle of the Coal Bucket, Harrison Central hosting the top team in Division 4, the St. Clairsville Red Devils. Kobe Mitchell had himself a first half after a big game by Trevor Carmen. That sets up this Jonathan Vermillion back shoulder touchdown grab, 6-0 Huskies. Next drive for Harrison Central, it's Mitchell rolling to his left, and he fires another strike to almost the exact same spot in the end zone. 12-0. Could we have an upset brewing? Jacob Jordan gets the Red Devils on the board. He's juking and coming right through your computer screen to cut the Huskies' lead to 12-7. Ensuing drive for Harrison Central, it's Mitchell surveying the field. He winds up, goes deep, but it is intercepted by the Red Devils. St. Clairsville on their next drive, it's Jordan again finding the end zone to give St. Clairsville their first lead of the game, 14-12. Red Devils get the ball back, and it's quarterback to Quarterback? That's not supposed to happen. Mitchell with the pick six, showing that he can get it done on the defensive end as well, giving his team a 20-14 lead. Right before the end of the first half, it's Will Balgo finding the end zone. He talks about the physicality shown by his team in the second half.
We gotta come out here. We gotta out hit them, be more aggressive than them, and I think we really did that second half.
Kobe Mitchell had 3 first half touchdowns, 2 through the air and 1 on the defensive end. But in the second half, the St. Clairsville defense settled down and shut out Harrison Central to secure a 35-20 victory.
They were a step away and there were people open, and that's what was helping them convert. So once we got our adjustments made and we settled into the game, I thought we played fantastic.
St. Clairsville really started to get after it on the defensive end. Mason McCourt was pressuring Mitchell all second half, helping keep Harrison Central off the scoreboard. The Red Devils clinch it through the air. Jared Starks makes a juke move. He's gone. Red Devils bring the coal bucket back to St. Clairsville.
Just gotta take it, take this bye week, practice as hard as we can, get ready for second round, and just take it 1 week at a time.
St. Clairsville is the #1 seed in Region 15, and we also got to look at the 3 seed in that same region as well. The Bloom Carroll Bulldogs look to remain undefeated as they end out the season, and reporter Nick Veland was at that game to see if they could do it.
As you mentioned, the Bulldogs looking to have a perfect regular season, and they did everything they needed to do on Friday night to do just that. First drive for Bloom Carroll, a string of passes sets them up on the 1 and allows Kobe Starnberry to take a direct snap into the end zone. The Braves take over, and the Bulldogs will take it right back with an interception by Brandon Totten. Back-to-back touchdowns to start the game, puts Bloom Carroll up 21-0 to start the game, and up 28-7 at the half. Second half, the Braves looking to start a comeback. Connor Robinson launches it downfield, finds his man Gabe Chaffin for 67 yards to the house. Ultimately, though, Bloom Carroll would put points on the board and keep making defensive stops on Logan Elm's offense to get the win, 45-14.
And of course, putting up 45 points is not easy to do. How was this Bulldogs offense really able to take control in this one?
Yeah, well, the steam engine on Friday night was Kobe Starnberry. Also, not only did he have 162 yards and 3 touchdowns on the night, he also celebrated his birthday on Friday. So happy birthday, Kobe. This man was able to get hit and keep moving forward to get more yards and first downs when his team needed it.
Yeah, you kind of talked about it with me after the game a little bit. There's always those plays that you run all the time during practice, but they had a few trick plays up their sleeve tonight for the Bulldogs.
Yeah, talking to Coach after the game, he loved the trick play aspect to his team. He said his players were always looking forward to, running those plays at practice, and look at this play that they ran at the game. Right here off the kickoff, he starts the return and laterals it to the other side of the field. And Austin Frye will take it all the way down to the 30 and sets up the Bulldogs with great field position on offense. What a play. You really don't see that too often.
Yeah, obviously, Bloom Carroll's had a dominant defense all season long. What did you see from them on Friday night?
Their defense has only given up 4 touchdowns all season, including Friday night, and it was evident why when the Braves tried to do anything on offense. The Bulldogs had 4 takeaways, including 3 interceptions, as well as limiting Logan Elm to only 144 yards of total offense.
We rally to the ball. We get to the ball. We do pursuit drill every single day. Our kids know that that's our staple to our program. Very rarely do you see a kid get tackled by himself. Usually it's 3 or 4 guys. We have a band of brothers who just run to the ball. Once you get us going in the right direction, our kids just attack. We might give up a deep ball here and there as a kind of a miscue, but it's going to take a big play to score on us because you're not going to be able to go 3 yards at a time.
We've known that Bloom Carroll's defense has been dominant for them all season long, but if their offense can continue to play this way, there might be a very deep run into the postseason in store for Bloom Carroll. Thanks for the good work, Nick. Now we head over from Division 4 to Division 3 now. We had a top 10 battle in the state as 6th-seeded Jonathan Alder took on 10th-seeded London. Reporter Will Price was at that game to recap this potential playoff matchup for both of these Region 11 teams.
Jonathan Alder versus London, 2 5-0 teams looking to finish the regular season unbeaten. Pioneers get the ball first, and there's Jackson Izzard with a big 3rd down catch to move the chains. Later on in the drive, 4th and short, it's quarterback JT Keith on the keeper, and he'd find his way into the end zone. It's 7-0 Jonathan Alder early. Second quarter now, Pioneers have the ball again. Looking deep is Keith, and he'd find Izzard for a big gain, and they would capitalize. Now inside the 10-yard line, let's go right back to Izzard on the sweep. He would break tackles and find his way for 6 as Jonathan Alder extends the lead 13-0. They are looking to pour it on with the ball again. Rolling right is Keith, looking deep, but Zach Jones goes up for that one. For the interception, momentum swings, and London would capitalize. Here's Isaiah Jones looking in the end zone. He'd find Sean Johns with less than a minute to go in the first half, and it's 13-6 at the break. Jonathan Alder would add a field goal to go up 16-6. On the ensuing kickoff, it's Aiden Cooper. He heads down the sideline, makes a move on the kicker there, and now he's heading back across the field, foot race, and he would get across the goal line. It is 16-13 going into the fourth quarter, anyone's ball game, but Will Heisler would take over the Jonathan Alder running back here for a big gain. They would chew up clock on this possession, and to finish it off, it's Heisler with a 5-yard scamper. And that is 22-13 after that, following a Red Raiders fumble. Right back to Heisler. He's in. Those 2 fourth quarter touchdowns would put the game away. 30-13, Pioneers stay unbeaten.
With both of these teams being ranked 4th and 5th respectively in Region 11, this could definitely be a matchup we see later on down the line. Thanks for the good work, Will. Now we head over to another Region 11 matchup, but this time the FAC Championship game played out on Friday night. The Chillicothe Cavaliers took on the Jackson Ironmen, and reporter Ryan Kincaid was at that game for an exciting finish in this one.
It doesn't get much bigger than this in the Frontier Athletic Conference. Chillicothe versus Jackson for all the marbles. Championship on the line, winner takes all. Here we go. First quarter, Cam Smith of Chillicothe was quick to use his arm tonight, but here comes Jackson's trademark ground game, led by Evan Spires. He breaks a tackle and another into the sideline. Scoreless first quarter, but Spires draws first blood to start the second. Here comes the Cavaliers, Smith scrambling, moving in the pocket, juke move, again. He's finally brought down. Boy, is he special on his feet or what. And he's got an arm on him. What a pass to Jaden Kane for the touchdown. Score is tied at 7. Ironman ball. Here's Jacob Winters through the air to Tristan Prater. And Winters again to Holden Blankenship in the end zone. A missed PAT makes it 13-7 Jackson. Winters again with good field position. Chucks it deep, right into the arms of the Chillicothe defense. Cavs have the ball with time to spare. Here comes Maxwell Lee up the gut. There's no stopping him. A missed Chillicothe PAT gives us another tie, 13-13. Late in the fourth, Jackson with a chance to win it, passes on point, but it is dropped. Regulation ends with a 20-20 score. Here comes OT. Chillicothe strikes first. Lee punching it up again to put the Cavs up 7. The Ironmen quickly level it back up, bringing us double overtime. That costly interception sets up this, the potential game winner. Here comes Jacob Coughlin and the longest 42 yards of his life. The kick is up, and it is good. The Cardiac Cavs complete the upset. The Chillicothe Cavaliers are the 2020 FAC champions, giving Coach Doug Pryor his first win over the Ironmen.
You know, we've had this date circled, you know, since we started training on December 5th, 2019. And you know, we wrote for 49-2 up on our board. I got 49-2 in my office, and you know, we thought about this game every single day. Obviously, gave respect to everybody who played. But we had this date circled, and these kids, they trained hard. The coaches drove them. It was just a lot of great support, and I'm just so happy for these guys. I mean, just so happy. They deserve it. They deserve everything in the world.
The newly crowned conference champions rematch Miami Trace in round 1 playoff action, while the Ironmen take their bye into the second round against the winner of Tri-Valley and Centennial.
With this win for Chillicothe, they look like they could be a Cinderella story heading into the playoffs, while Jackson will look to bounce back when they likely play Tri-Valley in a second round matchup. Thanks for the good work, Ryan. And that'll do it for us here for Week 6 coverage. 10 games on the slate that we covered here for our final week of the regular season. But we got playoffs, and it'll be a postseason like we have never seen before. Be sure to catch up on all the updates on our Twitter and Facebook pages throughout the week, and also check out our YouTube channel for all the episodes from the past several weeks. And looking forward to postseason play. All of us here at the 740 Zone are excited to get at it in the playoffs, as I'm your host, Jacob Murray, signing off.